looks taller, so I stand on the podium. I know there will be an interesting reception today, and the bus will leave at 5:30. And this is the last session, so we try to be as fast as we can. And before we started, I asked our panelists to prepare some short presentations. And I think, unfortunately, logistic-wise, I only have one presentation from Alcatel-Lucent, which I'm going to ask Frederick to come up here to give a 10 minutes talk first. Then each of the panelists will have about 5 to 10 minutes to give their perspective on this subject. So, Frederick, welcome.
Sorry. So good evening, everyone. Thanks for still being here. I think we probably are going to have some interesting discussions. So I wanted to show some perspective of the vision of Alcatel-Lucent around WiMAX and broadband in emerging markets. First of all, I think on the first slide, just show a bit of the company itself. I'm not sure where is the clicker for. Okay, so quickly going through Alcatel-Lucent. So Alcatel-Lucent, as you know, I would say telecom manufacturer equipment with a fairly broad portfolio, covering, I would say, pretty much the entire world as far as customers are concerned, with a fairly large budget and mostly all of it around telecom solutions or products. If you look at the highlights for us and the market share, we have a fairly strong presence in most technology, so we are fairly, I would say, agnostic as far as technology approach is concerned. What really matters to us is what makes sense in the end for our customer, for their market and for their requirements, which allows us to address for these customers several ways of accessing broadband, be it through fixed, be it through wireless or other type of technology. We're present in 3G, we're present in ADSL, as you know, in optics, etc., and in WiMAX. So that's a fairly broad portfolio that allows us to have a fairly holistic approach, I would say, to broadband. If you look at WiMAX seen from our perspective in emerging markets, if you look at WiMAX, actually 2/3 of the deployment today in WiMAX are mostly in emerging markets, if you look in number of deployments. And a large majority of them, or a majority of them, are led by fixed operator or new entrants, which is a specificity of WiMAX, seeing a large number of new entrants, and we've seen many of those over the past few years. 3.5 gigahertz is still I would say, the most commonly available frequency for broadband, for wireless broadband in most of those countries. And 16D technology still represents about 50%, which means on the other side that 16E has significantly grown over the past few years. Today, if you look at WiMAX, WiMAX is in these markets, I would say, competing for the share of wallet with a number of other technologies, and with fixed operators, or even with mobile operators. We know that in the end, the wallet of the customer, of the end subscriber, is not unlimited, and he has to make choices. So we have to bring the appropriate value proposition to these end subscribers. What we see also in WiMAX is that there are still limited large-scale deployments today. There are a number of them, but they are still mostly, I would say, a medium-sized type market. And globally, in this market, what we see as a key driver for access is really the access to the internet. Voice over IP comes on top of it as one interesting application, and then I would say you start skimming the market with more and more applications, as we discussed in the prior panel. What I wanted to do is just to quickly share the WiMAX experience, 3 examples that we've had, so 3 of our key customers. Everybody knows about Packet One. We talked about it this morning. It's been very successful in Malaysia. Mobilink in Pakistan as well, very much focused on delivering some broadband services into Karachi, and Nuevatel in Bolivia. These are 3 networks that we pretty much launched around the same time period, which means about mid-2008, entirely on 16E. So I'm reusing here a slide from Packet One. I think the first comment to make at Packet One is that I think they really applied, I would say, all the rules that Magnus Johansson described to us earlier, close to perfection, in the sense of going very quickly to market, building their market fairly quickly, being the first provider in Malaysia, going large scale from the beginning. They recognize WiMAX as being a mass market type application, therefore you need scale to be able to absorb your costs. Did the first large scale deployment at 2.3 outside of Korea, and also are part of the Intel ecosystem as well. They recognize, and I'm sure the Packet One people who are here will be more versatile in talking about that. They recognize very quickly the potential of the Malaysian market with over 16 million internet users, but still very, very few broadband users. And the capability of broadband wireless to actually address this market and leapfrog beyond the regular fixed type broadband. So another thing I believe that they did extremely well is on segmenting the market from the beginning, addressing first I would say more of the fixed type users, bringing their own devices, so bringing a full end-to-end solution, not only looking at a small part of the picture, but really looking at the big picture, and then going more into the mobile and bringing more devices, bringing the Wigi, for example, which is a fairly good success, which was launched around mid this year. Recognizing that there are several layers of subscribers to be addressed in the WiMAX market globally. Looking now at Mobilink in Pakistan, which is one of the leading GSM operator with about 32 million subscribers, has also recognized that there was a huge capability a huge opportunity, in Pakistan to address broadband wireless. To address broadband through wireless broadband, with over 1.5 million PC existing in Pakistan today, 17 million dial-up users, but only 200,000 broadband users. So a huge, I would say, potential here for capturing market growth. On top of that, the offer, I would say, of broadband in Pakistan is not always very consistent, and what Mobilink came up with is a very good approach of quick coverage of a large city, Karachi, making sure that also they had all the customer support, that they tested the network, that they've done everything well, so that when the ramp up comes, and it comes up fast, it doesn't I would say deceive the end user, that the end user are actually well accepting the service itself. And today it's ramping up nicely with several tens of thousands of users over the past 9 months, which is a very good growth. The last one, looking at the Bolivian market, which also has a high, I would say, potential for such broadband technology, with about 9 million inhabitants, 10% internet penetration, but very little broadband penetration as well. So Nuevatel recognized also the potential of this market, targeting a few of the key cities where there is high density and where the subscribers are to begin with. Also covering these cities and bringing services differentiated for the various type of subscribers, going also mass market. Actually, if we look at our launch networks today, this one is probably the one that has, on average, the most subscribers per cell site deployed of all the networks we have, with around 400 simultaneous subscribers on the site on average on their networks. So very high usage and getting true broadband type experience. So really, what broadband in emerging market is all about, it's for us, our view, it's all about this opportunity that there are a large number of internet users, but they are still going through, I would say, legacy dial-up type interfaces, and there is a real opportunity to bring broadband at an affordable price in this type of market. However, these are very diverse markets, and I'm sure some of the panel members here will talk about their own markets. They are very diverse, and they don't have all the same easy access to market. There are a number of challenges, infrastructure being one, access to the global internet being a very important one in some countries, where today it's almost impossible to get a good price for just getting access to the backbone or to the optical network. And all of these operators are actually implementing different type of services strategies into their market. But for these emerging countries, I would say it's also an opportunity to leapfrog to next generation technologies like WiMAX right now, going straight to something that brings more than the regular fixed broadband. So from our point of view, there are 4 key success factors for a wireless broadband technology. First, it needs a large addressable market, and I believe in emerging countries there is such a market. It's going to take time to address it, but it's very large, and it generates interest from all type of operators, fixed, mobile, and also new entrants. We've seen that in the number of operators we talk to. We need also radio spectrum availability. So since the gentleman from Clearwire this morning talked about 120, 150 megahertz, while you can do things with less than that, we've proven it, but it's true that if you want true broadband in the end for a very large market, you need to have enough spectrum. And you need to have this spectrum, I would say, preferably in a frequency band that help you deploy the network. Third one, you need technological assets. So you need technologies to be able to address this market properly. So WiMAX being one very good one for this type of market, offering nomadicity, mobility, etc. And fourth, actually one of the most important ones I would say is a favorable business environment. I mentioned on the 3 examples that I talked about that all these operators went fairly large scale. I would say it's not huge scale, but it's fairly large scale from the beginning. You need to have a business environment that allows you to do this type of deployment, to be able to rapidly scale your network, grow. Because in the end, it's all about the end user experience. And the larger you are, the larger your support functions are going to be, and the better you're going to be able to support these end subscribers as well. And this is what we see in a number of networks. From our point of view, just one missing criteria here would hinder any chance to get it really widespread. Thank you.
Thank you, Frederick. The next speaker, I apologize. Actually, all the speakers just bypassed me, give these slides to the organizer directly. So I thought I have Arcata Lucid, but I actually have OmniVision as well as the Microcom as well. So our next speaker will be Gabriel from OmniVision.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm going to talk to you about a few minutes about what is MobileMax and what we're doing in these days regarding the technology, regarding to WiMAX. Okay, let's start. Next slide, please. This is very important. OmniVision is the first 2.5 gigahertz mobile WiMAX operator in the world. We are pioneers working in the 2.5 gigahertz frequency. We start, well, as you can see, as a TV company. And for 1997, we were the biggest TV company in Venezuela. In 2001, we changed. And Net Finanzas acquired OmniVision and started to do all the legal steps, all the legal requirements to stop doing TV broadcasting, to stop using the old MMBS TV broadcasting system and change to IP, change to WiMAX, change to Internet. Next slide. Well, in this slide, you can see very quickly where is MobileMax in the Internet market in Venezuela. In the lower part of the slide, you have CanTV, that is the telephone national company in Venezuela. And you also can see Supercable, Net1, Intercable, that are the TV cable operators of Venezuela, triple play players. They can give you 1 mega, 2 mega, 3 megabits per second. But what about the mobility? Of course, they can offer you mobility. In the left part of the graphic, you can see again CanTV. You can also see Digitel, and also you can see Movistar from the Telefónica group. They have very good coverage in Venezuela, almost 100%, excellent coverage in cell phone speaking. But what about velocity? What about throughput? What about bandwidth? Very, very slow, very, very limited bandwidth. Where? MobileMax, where is in that world? We are in the top. We can give you 1, 2, 3, 4 megabits per second, and also we can give you full mobility. Next slide, please. No, that was the last one. We had our commercial launching in September 2007. September 2007, more than 2 years ago. We have more than 2 years being a mobile WiMAX operator in the 2.5 gigahertz frequency band. Next slide, please. And this is very important, talking about emerging market. We launched this year mobile pay. And what is mobile pay? Mobile pay is our prepaid payment option. For who? Well, you can see in the pictures in this slide the people involved in prepaid, the people involved in mobile pay. In these photos, you can see around 1.5 million people, and most of them don't have credit card, don't have an option to use bank. When prepaid with mobile pay, they can go to a shop, buy a easy scratch card, and use the code to get internet. It's that simple. We will talk about prepaid later in another slide. Thank you. Very briefly, the Venezuela telecom market is almost 26 million of mobile telephony subscribers. And we're talking about a country with 25 million people. It's more than 100% penetration. And where is internet? 1 million. Where is the opportunity in the internet? Next slide, please. Here it is, the prepayment slide. As you can see, in Venezuela, almost 94% of the market is prepaid. If you are thinking in an emerging market, if you are thinking in big numbers, you have to do the prepayment in Venezuela at least. If you didn't offer the prepaid service, you are rejecting almost 94% of the market to getting access to the internet. Next slide, please. Well, the telecom market in Venezuela, just a few numbers. 54% is only cell phone telephony, and where is internet? Again, only 3.44% of the whole market. Next slide. Our coverage, well, we are mostly in Caracas, that is the capital city of Venezuela. We have some base stations, not entire Caracas. In this picture, you can see the east part of Caracas. Next slide, please. And also we have coverage, small coverage always, in another 2 cities, in La Guaira, which is where is the international airport and the international seaport, and also we have coverage in, next slide please, thank you, Guarenas, Guatire. There are twin cities, like dormitory city, bedroom cities near Venezuela. A lot of people live here, and we also have some 6 base stations over there. Next slide. And in conclusion, totally we have 64 base stations, 64 Samsung Wave 1 base station installed with 10K residential subscribers. And also you can see our service plans. We have prepaid, we have postpaid, we have per size, we have per throughput. The subscriber only choose whatever they want. If they want prepaid, if they want postpaid, if they want per size, it's up to you, it's up to the customer. And also, parallel to the mobile market, we also have a strong corporate business with 300 point-to multi-point corporate subscribers. And I think, okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gabriel. Our next speaker is Leon Natali from Microcom. Do you have his presentation?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Africa. Today we have talked a lot about features of WiMAX, but let's go back to the African reality of every day. In Africa, WiMAX and satellite technology source of growing enterprise business in Africa. We can't talk about WiMAX without satellite access. Microcom in Central Africa is the leading WISE. We have more than 200 employers. We have VSAT networks with 92 antennas. And we was the first in Central Africa to deploy a commercial WiMAX network on 802.16d in 3.5 gigahertz. And we have deployed more than 6,000 WiMAX CPE. And today we have a project to deploy a 2.5 WiMAX network. Just to show you where is located DRC, 2.3 million square kilometers and 60 million population. Our product and service, we are integrator of innovative solution, telecommunication operator, WiMAX and VSAT, and we provide several services. Of course, in Africa, it's not like here in Taiwan or in the rest of the world. There are 5 major problems to develop WiMAX market in Africa: electricity, regulation authority. We have many interferences problem. Infrastructure, we must build all infrastructure ourselves. Education, of course, in relation with analphabetism, and access to internet via satellite that costs a lot of money. Just to show you in practice what we have done during those several years in Africa, the energy problem, we use solar energy, battery backup. For our mobile after-sale service, you can see we have a small generator, antenna installation on Kinshasa roof, just to show you that we have many problems of interferences. Infrastructure in Europe, you can see that we are facing, because there is no roads infrastructure. Here you have a typical ISP infrastructure in Africa. You have a generator, you have VSAT antennas, you have a small office, and of course the tower for your distribution. Today, the growing demand in bandwidth for Africa demonstrates that the satellite resource is insufficient, number of satellite, coverage, bandwidth availability, and of course price per megabit is still too high. And most of the African countries, sub-Saharan, are very far from the submarine cable SAT-3, and the only refuge is satellite. Why we have chosen WiMAX? Because we want mobility, bandwidth and throughput, wide range of services, easy and fast installation process, and we expect, of course, low prices. Kinshasa is, of course, our capital, is the capital city of DRC, with a population estimated at more than 8 million people, no copper wire, no fiber cable, then is really a paradise of wireless. Here you have in 2008, those people spoken about, there is a money exchange in the road. And 1 year after, these guys sell bread with a Wi-Fi phone. The first hotspot in the Kinshasa and Chile airport was done by Microcom. You have the cyber cafe in this container. It's a growing business all over the continent. Inside the cyber cafe in the container. A typical cyber cafe in Kinshasa, in popular area, WiMAX CPE and generator. You can see on the roof a fixed CPE, and here on the road you see the generator. The future of Africa is, of course, education. We must educate all our young population. Now, what about the application? Bank industry. You see, Congo is a very contrasting, it's a country with a lot of contrast. We have ATM, and we have also Western Union for transfer money. You can send and receive money worldwide. Gaming industry, Microcom has realized the real-time transmission of horse track racing from France. You have bidding room and horse track race live feed. You can see in real time. Oil distribution control, that is another application. Mining industry, as you know, Congo is a very rich country. We have a lot of mineral, and we have provided the first underground WiMAX network. We provide also the real-time engine localization system for those mining company. Of course, what we dream is WiMAX anywhere. Today, you can see in the Kinshasa street some people with a laptop, and tomorrow in the rural area, we hope that with mobile WiMAX we can reach all these. This is a customer base that we have in Congo. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. C'est fini.
So our last but not least, Dr. Song from Samsung. He does not have a, he never needs slides, so.
If you don't mind, I can stand up. Welcome everyone. It is late. I'm the last speaker. Hopefully, you've heard enough about Samsung Electronics. How many of you have Samsung handset today? Thank you, thank you. How many of you have our LED TV set? Okay, thank you, Kelly. And as you know, Samsung Electronics is the WiMAX solution provider. From chipset for handsets and base stations to access network systems, base stations and controllers, and then also IP core and application and services. And as you've seen, some of our solutions, both in another building, we are committed to have 16 mobile WiMAX solutions worldwide. Speaking with the OmniVision and Mobile Max in Venezuela. Actually, thank you, Dick, for his pioneering mobile WiMAX business in Venezuela, which has a very, very good business model to start with, as he described. And not only that, starting with Venezuela, we jump into Clearwire in the United States. Yes, that is not emerging country anymore. And UQ Communication in Japan, as you've heard of Arita-san this morning, and how UQ Communication is doing in Japan, where mobile internet service is #1 in the world, having 2G, 3G, and mobile WiMAX and LTE coming, and how UQ Communication will be doing for Japanese marketplace. And you've heard of Yota in Russia by Ron Resnick. And speaking of Yota, they have 200,000 plus customers today. They are prepaying customers. And with 200,000 subscribers, Yota has a break-even point and moving along. Currently, they are in commercial service in Moscow, St. Petersburg, Ufa, Sochi. Sochi is 2014 Winter Olympic Game place. So they are moving in another cities. Their target is to have 180 cities by 2012. So within 3 years, they will cover 180 cities in Russia itself. The real thing is there are paying customers, 200,000 today, and growing every day, actually. And they have new customers signed up, more than 2,000 new customers signed up a day. Can you imagine in Russia? Where 2G GSM Edge is more than 150% penetration, and 3G is very small in St. Petersburg, and their fixed broadband penetration is around 10% or below 10%, and people are dying for mobile broadband capabilities. This morning, Ron mentioned that one guy downloaded over 1 terabyte. Actually, it's not 1 terabyte. Actually, 1.98 terabyte download a month. To give you an idea how the people in emerging markets like one in Africa, Congo, people are starving for speed, right? But let me tell you how the people in emerging markets are doing these days with mobile wireless capability, with the example in Yota in Russia. In Russia, average download for a month with 2G/3G is 1 gigabyte a month. 1 gigabyte for 2G and 3G users. Guess what? Utah mobile WiMAX users are downloading 10 gigabyte of data a month. That's what people is looking for, especially in emerging marketplace. Leon described it very, very nicely, like in Africa. Mobile handset today, even 2G handset, is their lifeline. They do not only residential business, but also they are running their own business with that mobile handset with the 2G. They can use 2G handset for voice and also internet access. Guess what? With the 2G GSM capability, you're talking about less than 100 kbps. Still, they want to do business because there is no other device they can play with. But having USB dongle, hopefully, when DRC and other African countries are going with mobile WiMAX, over several billion people living in Africa, and then also India is coming and China is coming, and all the Taiwanese CP vendors are coming up with USB dongles. Guess what? Currently, USB dongle for a large volume, you can buy between $70 to $90 in street price. But with that many people coming in, sooner or later, USB dongle can be around $50 and maybe lower than $50 in a year time frame. So there is no question we will have very good ecosystem, especially devices from now on, because WiMAX is real. WiMAX is not vision like 5 years ago. When I started the WiMAX 5 years ago with a vision of like a 4 megabps downlink on the average on individual, you and I, each of us will have mobility with 4 megabps download on the average. Everybody said, hey, you are joking. You will never make that happen. But 5 years from that point now, take a look how many people are looking for mobile WiMAX. Currently today, there are over 500 deployment in 145 countries as Ron described, and then also 434 million people coverage. So it is a matter of all the operators in emerging countries providing mobile broadband capabilities to their people. Usually, most of emerging countries having a lot of challenges to provide, to offer very basic telecommunication services with a wired LAN, which is a voice service, right? So hopefully, you have a good vision, and like a Samsung and other solution providers having good devices. I know there are a lot of Chinese vendors coming up with very excited CP devices. If you go to that whole 3, you can see a lot of USB dongles and touch screen based MID devices and whole different services here and there, and bring that in and make a better quality and a better volume, more volume, so you can have a very good pricing scheme with economy of scale, and just bombard it with this mobile WiMAX capability, and bring our commercial experience we have in Clearwire, UK Communication, Yota, and Mobile in Saudi Arabia, and VMAX in Taiwan, and other good places, and bring that business model to your country, and your country will have not only voice, but also very high-speed mobile broadband internet capability to your people. As Ron described this morning, 10% of broadband penetration will contribute to your GDP of 1%. 1% of GDP may be small, but that's a good start. mobile broadband internet service available today with WiMAX is a playground. You provide to your people to play in the playground with that capability, so they can create their own services and their own CP devices and their own way of handling their e-business to the world. And then they come to you, and then they'll go with you. So mobile WiMAX is here today, and then we will move forward from 16E to 16M. And as you know, Samsung has committed to 16M already. We have demonstrated 16M prototype base station and also devices in Geneva about 2 weeks ago. Now we can pump 100 megabps per sector with the 16M. And we ran 16E USB dongle, which is a commercial device you can buy, and plug that into network. And 16E device is working seamlessly with the 16M base stations. So as you've heard of Clearwire moving into 16M, UQ Communication moving into 16M, and also Yota committed to go with the 16M, and Samsung and Intel have a good commitment to provide a 16M solution and a pre-trial version by end of next year, and then commercial version by end of 2011. And also WiMAX Forum certification group is working hard to make 16M certified product by end of 2011. So if you go with mobile WiMAX for your country, and then you will be a winner, not only for your business, but also you will be a winner for your country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Song. We have 15 minutes to 5:30, but I think I'm going to give the audience a chance to ask some questions. So who wants to ask the first questions? Nobody? Everybody wants to go? You know what? I'll ask a question. So I know Dr. Song is talking about 16M, but I suggest you don't wait. You can deploy 16E. One thing he did emphasize is the backward compatibility, which is really one of the advantages of WiMAX, is a true evolution path towards the future. So I'd like to ask the panelists the question. It strikes me, you talk about Russia, you talk about Yoda. I've been there, visited them personally. I know how advanced their service has been. And I also, every year I participate in Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. I was complaining about where can I get the broadband connection? So Europe's supposed to be a mature market, but in fact, if you use broadband as a key performance indicator, a lot of market actually can be considered as the emerging broadband market. It has a very low broadband penetration rate. So I want to ask the panelists, so what's your definition of an emerging market? A lot of emerging markets in the past, from economic point of view, you can say, okay, maybe based upon their GDP, they're relatively...
And most of youngsters are having great time with YouTube and Twitter and so on. But still, the youngsters are starving for broadband connectivity at home and also wherever they go. So even mobile voice penetration is over 100%. People are looking for real good access for information and then also access for entertainment over any device you have. So it doesn't matter if it is a mobile or not, but as long as you have a good connectivity with data communication or video communication or a combination of those at the same time. But if you have mobile handset or Samsung mobile handset with a 10 megapixel camera on, you have good video clip on that mobile phone with your loved ones, exact moment of your life, and you want to share that video clip with your friends on Second Life or any internet and wherever they are, and you try to upload by pushing button on 2G, 3G, whatever network you have, good luck, right? Uploading your video clips from your mobile phone today to your web page over wireless media takes forever, right? And at the same time, if you're an iPhone user, if you signed up with AT&T, what do they tell you? They said, oh, this is a 3G iPhone and also Wi-Fi enabled iPhone, but be honest with you, don't use a 3G, because if you turn on 3G, you will have a heck of a good time, right? Because my network is not ready yet. So even though you have capabilities and your network is not ready, you say, please don't use it. And thank you for buying that new device, but my network is not ready yet, so use another media. So when you do, especially in emerging markets, you have a very good challenges in providing backbone with the fiber optic cables and so on. But you got to have a very good backbone network to provide good services to start with. So emerging markets point of view, economical definition is, you have a very, some GDP level, that's one level of it, but my view from telecommunication aspects of it is, even though you have a very good mobile penetration rate over 100%, but if you don't have good broadband capabilities for your people to take advantage of it when they wanted to communicate with their loved ones really, still there is challenges. That's what emerging market is. So when you think of a mobile WiMAX operation in emerging marketplace, once you have a spectrum as you want, please make sure, as Leon pointed out and also Omnivision pointed out, you got to have a very good fiber optic networks or backbone networks, because base station can pump 40 megabits per sector, which means one base station with 3-sector configuration can handle 120 megabps. It's far, far better than any 3G base stations we are talking about. And sooner or later, people are using it and people are jumping on you. In Utah case, they had a good site planning with a 20-to-1 over subscription rate. Now their subscription rate is 3-to-1 because people are lined up to sign up for 4G broadband capability in Utah. So once you have that capability, then people are coming to you and they enjoy it. So it's too long.
I know that's a long answer to a short question, but
okay, I'll try to make it shorter to give some time to the others as well.
Please.
If I go back a bit to your question and maybe the definition of what is emerging market in telecom, for me, I would probably say that it could be measured by the offerings that the end subscriber has to get access to certain type of services. And this offering depends on the number of things, and the speed at which this offering is going to happen and it's going to be available to these subscribers also depend on the number of things that we discussed, be it access to backbone, access to the fiber network to connect to the internet, etc. For me, WiMAX is an excellent technology to provide access, but it's only the access piece of it. And absolutely, if we want to develop wireless broadband globally, we need to develop everything that goes around it for this particular market. If they are not yet at that level in terms of offerings, there is usually, prior to the access, there are usually some blocking points that needs to be unleashed, being the backbone, being the regulation, being the availability of investment, but also being the end subscribers themselves. We need to basically tailor the offer to the end user. And I think one of the beauty of this wireless broadband technology is that it really is versatile in the sense of being able to tailor to the needs of a large number of users, be it, I would say, low-type internet throughputs, because, I mean, if we look at the network in Pakistan, just to say one, most of them are actually asking only for 120 or 256. You don't need to provide 5 megabit per second to everyone. You need to have some access, and everybody's ready to pay at a different rate, and you can really customize it to tailor to the wallet of the end subscriber, I would say, in the end.
Thank you, Frederick. I know we're in Taiwan, the home of many CPE manufacturers here. Can the CPE manufacturers here show a hand? Do we have any CPE manufacturer here? Any people from? Okay. Well, do you have any questions for our operators? Otherwise, I can help you ask questions. Okay.
For the CPU viewpoint, what should we do about 11M?
You mean Wi-Fi?
Yeah, WiMAX.
WiMAX 11?
16M, sorry.
Yeah, okay. So what was the question?
What should we do?
What should you do?
Anything about it, or base station handle 11M already? 16M.
For the 16M, should CP manufacturer do anything about it? Is the 16M handle all by the base station?
And as the 16M standardization is being completed, and that could be done by May of next year. And then every vendors, including Samsung and Intel, are working on 16M base stations by Samsung and Intel for 16M chip for all the Taiwanese CP vendors can take advantage of it. And you can start with the 16M CP devices right after the 16M standardization is completed, or wait until 16M chip is available in the marketplace and you just package it. And once you have the 16M, then probably you may consider how your 16M chip will have with the 16E capability for transition time period. I'm sure there is a good interoperability between 16M and the 16E network. So WiMAX Forum is working very hard for certification process for 16M device and the 16E capability with 16M and 16E base station network. Right? You want to add that up?
No, I don't have anything to add. I'm thinking we have an emerging market panel, but we always seems to think ahead. 16M, right now hopefully people will deploy 16E first. Don't have to wait. But the roadmap certainly is backward compatible. That's important to remember. How are we going to do it? I don't know. It's in the standard. It's a work in progress. So I have a question actually for our operator friends here on the panel. When I moderate a panel like emerging markets, I know a lot of people will ask, what's your expectation from your operator perspective on the device? Do you anticipate dual mode device like Dr. So mentioned, the GSM WiMAX device very soon, or do you think still right now just mainly USB dongle, CPE, or embedded laptops?
Okay, it's a very simple question, but it's very complex to answer that. First of all, you have to know your market. You have to really know your market. For example, in Venezuela, as you saw in the slides, there is a huge demand of fixed broadband internet service. For that, of course, we need indoor CPEs, we need outdoor CPEs, and we're talking about a device less than $100. But in the other hand, talking about Venezuela, we also have a huge demand of high-tech devices. In Caracas, in Venezuela, a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, use Blackberries. And we're talking about a $400, $500 price device. Venezuela is also waiting for high-tech WiMAX devices, for handset devices, for netbook embedded devices. So the answer, I think, is that know really well your market. And for example, in Venezuela, I think we have the opportunity for every device, since the cheapest USB dongles, the cheapest indoor CPEs, plain CPEs, to the handset, fancy handset, high-tech gadgets, with WiMAX embedded. And of course, if they also can give you GSM port, they will be better.
Yeah, I actually saw a couple of devices in the exhibition hall across the street. So, in your point of view, what do you think the average selling price, I mean retail sale price, will make your customer really happy? Oh, I can buy a GSM WiMAX device, you know, can get online faster than, you know, 3G. What the price point do you think that would be?
Well, talking about indoor CPEs, it must be the cheapest. CanTV, for example.
$0?
Almost. The operator needs to give for free the devices. That would be better. But talking about mobile devices, high-tech devices, I have to say that if the service is good, if you offer a very good service, don't care about the price of the device. They will pay it.
How much you want to buy? Operator, how much you want to buy from the device manufacturers? How much you want to pay for?
Me, as an operator, as a user?
Operator.
I don't want to pay anything because I'm the operator. I'm selling the service, not the device. I don't want to sell any device. I prefer that the device providers sell directly to the subscribers. I'm just worried about the internet service.
See, there's actually a disconnect. I think when we think about sell WiMAX device, well, unfortunately right now, the forum's retail ready certification program is not ready yet. Supposedly, you should be able to sell a WiMAX device to a market just like you sell the computer through the consumer electronic stores. But it's a different model. But Leo, you have anything to add?
Mr. Gabriel, I think that he has said a very important thing. In Africa also, our customer think first about service. If your service is good, the customer doesn't care about the price. But in our country, the problem is still the bandwidth cost on the satellite side. And we have another problem, as I've said. Somebody here has said no service without device, but we add no electricity without device. And that's my message to the Taiwanese industry, because they don't think a lot about African market that represent 52 million users. Our main problem in Africa is electricity, energy problem. And we don't see in the market adapted terminal for this kind of market. Just an example, just give me 2 minutes and please apologize my English. We are looking for a terminal which includes a battery backup, look like a laptop. Today, you can go around the market, you can't see, you can't find this kind of terminal. Like, for example, today we have a laptop with an autonomy of 4 to 5 hours, but when you go back home and you want to use your terminal, your WiMAX terminal, without backup battery, you can't use, you can go through the internet. Then why you are going to pay for your subscription? Therefore, we come here to looking for this kind of terminal with battery backup that can give us possibility to work home during 4 hours. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're right at 5:30, and I'd like to thank you to our panelists. Should we give them a round of applause? Thank you very much.
Development Forum 2009 tomorrow, starting at 9. We encourage all of you to participate as you did today. And there's also a 2009 Broadband Taiwan exhibition. We encourage you to participate. And We want to remind you that to take your belongings with you when you're on your way out, and